very special day today because it's not just Josh and I. We got 3 of the MercGoat Conspiracy here. Ginger, I don't think, is anywhere to be found, unfortunately.
We haven't seen him.
We definitely got the better looking people from our review.
His parents don't even have any pictures of us to be able to identify him, so I don't even know.
Gingers are like vampires, you know, you take photos of them and then they don't show up.
He's not a daywalker anyway, so he can't be outside.
No, he's not a daywalker.
So what we got for you today, what we're going to review, is the first Faith No More album since 1997.
Big deal.
Album of the year.
Yep.
1997 was when the last Faith No More came out. I was 5 years old when that came out, and today, it might have came out yesterday, I believe, the 18th.
We picked it up yesterday.
Alright, they pushed it a day early than I think they wanted to. But Soul Invictus is the title of the new album. I know you guys are definitely big fans.
They're my second
Faith No
favorite
More.
band.
When I first met Merc a couple years ago, he mentioned them, and I'm like, I don't know Faith No More. Yeah, you do. You know that song Epic. And I've been listening to them. And no, for this, as a Faith No More album, this sounds like Faith No More.
There's 2 types of Faith No More fans. There's Faith No More fans, and there's people that hear Epic on the radio and say they're Faith No More fans.
Right.
Yeah.
That could not be a more true statement.
And honestly, Angel Dust is my favorite album from them. And a lot of people, when that came out, were going, what the fuck is this? It doesn't sound like the real thing. In my opinion, that's when they found their sound. Because King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime, it definitely built upon that. And Patton has always had a strange voice, and he definitely used it to that ability. Album of the Year kind of went a little bit back to the Angel Dust style, but still an incredible album. And I feel this one, it's kind of in the middle between King and Album of the Year. That's kind of where I'd put it, somewhere in the progression between those two. It doesn't feel like it's...
It's a very diverse album.
Oh, absolutely.
So, going through the whole thing was just like, honestly, I didn't really get bored.
There's always something exciting happening. Every
track,
track.
It was. Every track was like its own thing, and it was like, not...
Well, it's kind of like Angel Dust, you go from like, the second track, Caffeine, which is very heavy, and then goes into RV, which sounds like Mike Patton. You can imagine him at a bar just bitching about his family.
RV is one of my favorite songs from Faith No More. It's so unique. A lot of people say they compare it to the music to Mario in the Bubble World. I'm not a big Mario player, but a lot of people have made that comparison.
I hear that. I don't know about you guys.
Yeah, it actually does sound a little bit like that.
It does, yeah.
Are you familiar with King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime?
A little bit. I went back, So I went back and listened to a lot of their older stuff too, before I listened to this. I tried to...
People died today. I think one big question is, what was everybody's expectations for this album, even after such a long period of time between albums?
It's hard to set expectations.
I think it's very difficult to
I
know what
wanted to
expect.
make sure it sounded like Faith No More, and it definitely does. But I also wanted to be unique. I don't want to go, wow, this sounds exactly like Angel Dust. I want it to be its own unique entity and go, okay, these guys have been around for a while. They haven't even toured in years. They weren't, they weren't even talking about an album when they first started getting back together.
That was actually off the table.
2009 was they reunited, right?
Yeah, and that was
a couple years ago.
They were interviewed, and they said we're not doing another album, and they weren't even going to do a tour after the reunion tour.
I think it was just going so well, and they realized, they saw the welcome back that they had.
But do you feel that Jim Martin should have been on this album? Would you feel it would be more complete if he was?
It's tough because when did Jim Martin leave? He left.
He left after Angel Dust.
He's like a couple albums.
Even though Epic is their most popular song, and obviously The Real Thing is their most popular album, I couldn't get into that one as much as the newer 4. And as good as the guitar he was, he didn't really even write a lot of Angel Dust, even though he performed on it.
Right.
So I'm okay. They used, I believe, their guitar tech for King, and then for Album of the Year, they actually used the guitarist from Mr. Bungle, and that's who actually they used on the new album.
When I first heard the singles as the leading up to the album, the first time I heard Motherfucker,
that song's great.
At first I didn't know what to think.
I didn't really like it at first.
And then I heard Superhero, and I liked that a lot better. But then, as I listened to the album as a whole, I really, really like Motherfucker now.
I'm agreeing with you 100% on that.
I don't know, I'd say that was one of them. That's definitely probably the best song on the album for me.
Superhero or Motherfucker?
Motherfucker.
I really like Black Friday.
Yeah.
I think that's track 7.
Yeah, that's like
100%. I really, really like that track. No, Motherfucker, I definitely, as the first single, was maybe a little disappointed, but hearing the album in a whole, I definitely appreciate the song way more. Superhero I love from the very first time I heard it.
It sounds like a Faith No More track.
Alright, so obviously you guys have listened to them a lot heavier than I have, but I've listened to some of has just been like, oh yeah, now I'm starting to like listen to them a little bit more because it's just such a big deal for 18 years off and then have a new album come out. I thought that first track was like really impressive.
That's a great intro track.
Self-titled song
or
Motherfucker?
Motherfucker. It was a great single, and then the first track on the album was awesome.
Great build-up.
I love
awesome.
The title track I like.
Yeah, it was really.
And then you get the drums that go right into Superhero.
Right. It's very cohesive. It's a very cohesive album.
And how much do you know from like the real thing and that? Just out of curiosity.
I absolutely love The Real Thing.
Yeah, that was the one
that'd be
I
my favorite. Angel Dust is up there too. I don't put that aside, but I think The Real Thing is.
When we started
excellent.
actually talking about doing this review and doing this together, I actually started to go back and like listen to some of their older stuff, and that was the album that like everybody, when I first started listening, they were like, go listen to that one because that album.
We want to talk old stuff. They used to have an old singer
Yeah.
by the name of Chuck Mosley.
Yeah.
He actually joined them live recently.
I've heard that
song
story.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did We
And
Care a Lot.
I think what the article shared is just everybody's opinion is going to be really different on how he performed.
A lot of
on it.
people will agree that he had a lot of energy, but he was a horrible, horrible singer.
Right.
And they still put up with 2 albums for him. And there's some songs that aren't bad. Patton actually did a few songs with his vocals from previous albums, As the Worm Turns is one of them. And it really shows how much better of a singer Patton is. But a lot of people that are really big Faith No More fans, myself included, still have a little bit of a soft spot for Mosley, even though everyone agrees that Patton is way better.
Right. Oh, going into what you said, I think with Faith No More fans altogether, I think like you said, there's people that call themselves fans that that just know stuff off The Real Thing or just Epic, only that. And then there's like the diehard fans, or the fans with at least a reasonable amount of knowledge, like yourself, and like everybody else here. I think with the fans that only know stuff off The Real Thing, they wouldn't like this album because they just know that. But going into this album, I didn't expect to hear The Real Thing again. And
I wouldn't
think,
want to, because it's still, even though it's the most popular album, it's still my least favorite Patton album by far. His voice was a little higher pitched. It's very different than the other 4 albums.
I was expecting, when I heard this, first of all, I had no low expectations because they just put out gold. That band puts out gold. They don't put out a bad album. I was expecting between Angel Dust and Album of the Year, which I think is what I'm pretty much hearing off of Soul Invictus, is the mixture of those 2 albums together.
I do hear a lot of King too, especially in Superhero, because Get Out, the opening track of King, it feels like it could go into it just as easily as Soul Invictus could.
I think people that were Faith No More fans were maybe kind of a little bit worried when they heard that first single come out. That it was like, oh,
Motherfucker definitely did get me nervous.
What's the album gonna be?
But
what's that expectation? I think that's like for anyway, like how a lot of people feel with a lot of bands that are big like this is, you just.
I think there was so much excitement about Motherfucker because it was the first song, from them in such a long time. But I mean, it might have been the wrong song to even begin with.
And you think they're gonna apologize for that? Or
No,
say,
no way.
They're never gonna. They're gonna say that was the right.
Well, that was like when.
And it is one of the best lyrical songs.
I love that. I love that song, honestly.
When.
Like I said, coming from somebody who hasn't been listening to him for years.
Well, you've been missing out.
Yeah, and that was evident as I listened to a little bit more of their stuff.
I still have idiot friends that still think that Epic is from the Chili Peppers. You know how sad that is?
You can hear the difference. There's no.
Anthony Kiedis does not have that
not,
range.
that's not even close.
Yeah.
How about
How
Zorn?
awesome is that?
I know you've been kind of quiet. Recently, we've been getting into different types of music.
Definitely. The Faith No More album that you had me listen to is fantastic. I've listened to some of their, older
Epic.
stuff. Epic, obviously. Superhero, Motherfucker, obviously. Actually, I liked the way that their whole new thing came out. I just liked the transition from the sound, and it was fantastic. I liked it.
It doesn't even seem like they broke stride.
No.
That's exactly what I.
But
They didn't
was
even break
thinking.
stride. Like I listened to the last
After
stuff they
such a
put
long
out, and it's like
span of
after
time.
a long span of time, their brains are in not exactly
Yeah.
the same spot, but like a slightly modulated, but reasonably, in the same. They're doing.
It's still 1999, 2000 for that.
Like when I got out of high school, which was, when you guys were young, I used to listen to stuff like that all the time. And you're right, they have not broken stride at all.
Yeah.
It's like the years
I usually listen to like heavier stuff, but I like a lot of like thrash metal too. So it's like I listen to a lot of odd bands. Like there's bands like Faith No More that like I would get into from like my friends will like introduce me to them, and then I get into them. But like I probably might not find them on my own. But as hard as that might be to believe,
They inspire so many bands from so many different genres. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's pretty impressive. I think we've gone, 20 minutes, half an hour, and I haven't said a single dick joke.
there you go. Wow.
So, thank you very much for having me on. And
You don't need to.
Not
There's
do
5
dick
of them here
jokes.
today.
Oh, absolutely.
I think there honestly couldn't have been a better album to like, do a collaboration with.
Yeah.
Like with like a fellow channel. So if you haven't yet, if you're watching this and you haven't yet, and you haven't seen MercGoat Conspiracy, check out the link in the description.
We're definitely
Right
not
to their
safe for
channel.
work. We're actually pretty fucked
Oh,
up in the
hell
head.
No.
Yeah.
No,
It's nice to talk normal for once, but
Word
we
to the
haven't really
wise.
fucked that show.
Yeah, we
Maybe
gotta
we'll
test
go
the
on
show.
there.
And
Use
we
earphones.
would have eventually liked to get on there. See their dirty side, I guess you could say.
Next time we get together, we're gonna review the new Tool album. It could be next year. It could be
Could
in
be
20
next
years.
year.
It'll
Well,
be
yeah,
10,000 days.
We need to go.
I think
we need to,
I like that.
we need to do that thing from Interstellar where we go to another planet to wait for the.
Honestly, I think we should do it sooner. I'm going to say that on the air right now. I think maybe Jurassic Park or something.
Yeah,
It's
dude.
coming in the near future. I can't see why we can't do this once a month.
Mhm.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows what the fuck they're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I think
of
it was really cool to have at least 3 of the MercGoat Conspiracy here. But
heard
I don't know about you guys, but I strangely feel
I
a
feel
Jim's presence
I
lately
feel
throughout
it.
this review.
Odd
I've been
presence.
looking around for him. I just feel like something
I
dark
keep feeling
behind
some
me.
wind, but
I think it's unfortunate that he couldn't be here today, but I mean,
He said something
I
about a
strangely feel something.
He said something about a gorilla, and there was a hamburger involved.
Yeah.
I don't know if he took the acid again or he's on his heroin. Not
next
too
week on the podcast, we're gonna have a nice show. We'll get you on next week or
Love-
2,
dude, we
3
love
weeks.
it.
I don't know. We don't really have that too far in advance. If it flows as good as this one, fuck it, let's do it.
Yeah.
Eventually, maybe Ginger will be able to do one with us.
Yeah.
It was cool to get 3/4 of the crowd here, and like I said, we'll get you guys on the podcast.
Stay tuned. Well, what we got for you today, the first
Go to
Faith
bed.
No More.
Anyone hear that?
30 seconds into it.
No, he's gonna do that. Just try to
Alright.
ignore him.
When you can't afford a bear rug.
So, Jesus Christ.
The worst part is from this angle, they can't see me.
Okay, John Cena.
Alright.
Yeah.
The cohesiveness wasn't there, and I think that's why King kind of failed.